Good morning, everyone. So before we get into this video, I have to show you. You see that little the cap there, or like the hat there? This is what, like that thing right there. That is the most Swedish thing you can possibly imagine. So somebody found somebody's hat on the floor, on the ground, and thought, hey, I'm gonna help them out. I'm gonna put it in a slightly higher elevation so that they may spot it, and you know, they'll find their hat. Sorry, I digress. I just couldn't help myself. This is, you see it all the way, everywhere. You see like children's mittens just laying somewhere, just slightly elevated over the ground, so that, you know, it's not on the ground. I don't know why we do that, but everybody does it. I see it all the time. I absolutely love it. Makes me happy. But let's get into it. So today, you and I are going to talk about rock stars. And not just any rock star. We're going to talk about programmer rock stars. Yes, because odds are, if you have any interest whatsoever in making a career in software development, and if you actually like software development, just as everybody else, you probably have that tiny little voice deep inside somewhere saying, you know, wouldn't it be so cool if I could be this amazing person and I could do like all these cool things and get the appreciation that I so desire. One of my absolute favorite quotes is, never underestimate people's desire to be exceptional. And that is very, very true. I have it. I'm pretty sure you have it as well. You can admit it to me. It's just you and me. You know, it's just between, you know, two people. I'll gladly admit that I have fantasized 100 times about building something great or being able to do something amazing and getting that sensation of doing something truly great that makes people go, wow, wow. We all do it, or at least I do. I'm man enough to admit that. But let's talk about programmer rock stars. So this term is thrown around by, in my opinion, maybe I don't know why, but I do think that this term was actually not created by software developers. I think that this term was created by business people as a recruitment scam, or some trend word that they may, you know, because PowerPoint people, you know, business people, or as I like to call them, PowerPoint people. PowerPoint people are all about semantics, words, and trying to brand things so that it sounds nice when they're talking in their PowerPoint presentation. And this is one such case, because I have never met an engineer who used the term rockstar programmer for themselves. Only ever heard managers and PowerPoint people use that term. And I see that there may be a correlation between there's something going on there. I think there's a correlation. Anywho, the idea of a rockstar programmer is this person who basically can provide, like, think of it as the 10x programmer. That's probably a closer truth than anything else that we in the engineering world are actually even admitting to existing. The 10x programmer is a theoretical person that is so good at programming that they can do 10 times the work than anybody else. Now, trust me, there is no such, if there is, good God, please make yourself a YouTube channel, send me an email, and just let me worship the ground that you walk on, because I want to learn to be a 10x programmer, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the IT world wants to do that too. But just for the sake of argument, let's say that such a person does not exist. What does a business person or a PowerPoint person mean when they say a rockstar programmer? Well, this is my take on matters. A rockstar programmer to a business person is a person that can create a sense of value to the limited understanding of a business person. That sounds harsh, but that's actually closer to the truth than anything else. You see, all the rock stars I've ever seen or had the fortune to work with are people who are, most of them were in front end, I will admit, and they were very good with animations, and they are very good with things such as meeting a sharp deadline or creating something that looks and feels very elegant. They have a flair for visually attractive things. And see, that goes over very, very well in the business world, because PowerPoint people are visual people. Because nobody's gonna think your super algorithm that calculates pi is a sexy thing. It's that simple. They're not gonna think it's sexy. But if you have a really cool animation on the company webpage, well, all the business people are gonna love that, because that they can understand, that they can comprehend. That's something that makes the buttons in their or the switches in their head flick. Go figure, right? And that's where that term comes from. So the thing is that this is absolutely a good thing. There are some really talented, I mean, I go bananas over, if you go over to CSS Tricks or CodePen and you watch some of those amazing projects where somebody's done something cool with CSS and JavaScript and it looks absolutely amazing, you can understand why people perceive these people as being rock stars, because they are, in a sense. But here's the downside with having such a rock star. Those rock stars are in general the reason why I think that there's a rivalry between back-end and front-end developers, because a front-end developer that has that type of flair is, in my opinion, generally an artistic soul. And I have never, ever worked with such a person that could actually sit down and buckle down and actually do good work. I'm never seen somebody like that write a unit test or do a load test or actually build software worth, like quality software. They're very good at animation and visual stuff and getting things to look nice, but they seem to lack that ability to write quality software. So let's talk about my definition of what a rockstar is. To me, a rockstar programmer is a programmer that can solve problems, that can accurately estimate how much time something is going to take. They're not promising anything outside of what they think is feasible. They set expectations correctly. They can talk to business people, make them understand the situation and give them a full understanding of the scope of how something's gonna work out. They are the people who can sit down on the server. They are the people who can sit down on the front end. They are the people who gets software done. They can ship stuff. They are accurate. They are precise. They don't cause bugs unnecessarily. They have a good process. They ship quality stuff, and they can also switch over and hack things together and create a proof of concept when the time requires it. Basically, they know when to build one type of software and when to build another type of software, depending on the needs of the stakeholders. They are the sort of people that share that knowledge with everybody, because they themselves love what they do and they want to learn from others and share with others and have a dialogue around their profession. These are the rock stars to me. These are the people that I want to work with. These are the people who provide the largest amount of value, in at least per my definition. Now, you're absolutely free to to not agree with me, but at least that's the way I feel about it. And if you want to be a rockstar programmer, I can tell you how, and I'll tell you right now. Start out by asking a very simple and fundamental question. What is it that I am trying to do when I write code? It took me a while to figure that out, because in the beginning you don't think about it much. It sounds silly, I know it sounds silly, but usually people, you think about it in terms of, okay, how can I make this code as nice as possible? How can I, follow all the best practices and do the things that everybody's telling me to be doing? But when I answer that question for myself, I started realizing that there was more to it. And the question, what are you trying to achieve when, with the code that you're writing? The answer, at least for me, was I'm trying to solve a problem, basically. I'm trying to solve a business problem for somebody or someone. I'm trying to provide value to somebody. And when I realized that I can do that in many ways, I can do fancy code, or I can basically have an open dialogue with my stakeholders and try to define a good scope for the feature. There's so many things to that has very little to do with the code itself. That's one part of it, but it's such a small thing. It's such a small thing in comparison to all the stuff that is around it. And to me, a true rockstar programmer doesn't necessarily, it's not just about being good with code. It is about taking something that is really hard, a big problem, and making it seem easy. Think about that. To me, a rock star is a person who takes a big, complicated problem and makes it easy. That's a rock star.